I'm Emily Maung-Douglass. I'm with Louisiana Sea Grant at LSU, and I am a member of the Sea Grant Gulf Oil Spill Science Outreach Program. And yeah, this is the break glass in case of emergency, your crash course to handling oil spills in your communities. So it's by far not a comprehensive guide, but hopefully just a little bit of tidbits of information to help you hit the ground running should you have an incident in your area. So I just want to thank everyone on the planning committee and just all of you from your region for welcoming me and including me in your meeting, and also our partners as well, NOAA and the Coast Guard. We've got Frank, as you all know, and Dave, and obviously I have to thank my home Sea Grant region and our funding agency, the Gulf of Mexico Research Initiative, GoMRI. So just a little bit about our program, just to give you a little bit of perspective about me and where I'm coming from. As you can imagine, after Deepwater Horizon happened back in 2010, there were a lot of challenges that folks had to overcome in the community, and so by extension of that, Sea Grant had to overcome. There's a lot of mistrust between people within the community and emergency responders and other officials, and there are a lot of rumors going around about what would happen to the long-term impacts of fisheries and seafood and so on, a lot of unknowns. And a lot of that was driven by the lack of information, and more specifically vetted science. So back in 2014, the Gulf of Mexico Research Initiative, or GoMRI, which is a $500 million investment by BP from non-penalty funds, so it's actually separate from the Restore Act. They partnered with Sea Grant to help share oil spill science in the Gulf of Mexico region, and more recently now nationally and internationally as well. But we don't just share, just to be clear, we don't just share GoMRI research, we also share science funded by all other agencies as well. So as long as it's been peer-reviewed or published in a government document somewhere, we've tried to include it in our program. So just a little background about our program. We've got currently a 5-member team. We are hiring a 6th person very shortly. Our backgrounds are diverse and range from fisheries science, social science, physical oceanography. We also have a program manager, Steve Sempier, who most of you probably know, and also a communications person, Tara Skelton. We work together to synthesize and translate oil spill science for a variety of different user groups within our communities. And just a little plug for our website. It's located on the bottom of each of my slides, and on there you'll find a lot of resources. We have all of our workshops that we've ever held available online, and you can actually go in and click individual presentations, so you don't have to try to scroll through an entire day's workshop to find the one that you're specifically interested in. It also gives summaries of each of the different speakers who are experts in their field, and the cool thing about these workshops is that all of them are done in layman's terms, so it doesn't matter who's giving the presentation. It's given in a way that you don't have to have a background in that specific area to understand what's going on. Also on there are our oil spill outreach publications. We have some great one-pagers as well as 8-pagers in different areas. So if you got those thumb drives from me before. Okay, so on that thumb drive, you'll see that little swing tag has our website, and then also within the thumb drive, there's a big mega PDF with all of those publications. Today we have about 21, I think. So it's all included in there, and they're bookmarked for easier use, as well as a fact sheet about things you can expect if an oil spill happens in your area. But I'll go over that a little bit more later.
So Emily, all those documents are sort of evergreen, or could go at any time for an oil spill, or were they specific to?
Some of them do deal with the Gulf oil spill, but some of them are more general. There's definitely, even within the Gulf documents, there's definitely some take-homes you could apply broadly. But beyond just our program, our oil spill program, I was really thinking about why you all might be interested in being here in this workshop today. And so I think that as sea granters, if there's some sort of major disaster occurring, do we really want to be the people that are on that beach there? They're making sandcastles, they look really happy, right? But they seem to fail to see that gigantic wave that's coming for them. But then you kind of notice as you're looking at that picture, after you see all the happy people on the beach about to get clobbered, you see that one guy surfing the wave up at the top. He seems to know what's going on, but in all likelihood, he didn't just wake up that morning having never surfed before and suddenly he's riding a tsunami. There's a lot more involved than just that, right? So if you're in that sort of situation, how do you go from being that person on the beach to that person riding the wave? You're gonna start trying to figure out what you need to know, what goes into being a good surfer in the first place, right? So finding the best surf shop in town, figuring out what board works best, taking surf lessons, maybe some emergency swim survival training course. Maybe you're gonna reach out and find out who you're gonna call if you get in over your head, who are your go-tos. You're also going to find out where you can get the best possible information from about weather patterns and how that's going to affect the way that you surf. That's another key point. And then you're going to put all those skills and knowledge and connections to use because practice makes perfect, right? And so the same thing happens if you're trying to prepare for something you've never dealt with before. You're going to try to figure out ahead of time on the front end, that sort of information. So that's what we're trying to help you with today, as I said, help you hit the ground running. So provide a little bit of information to help you understand a bit about emergency response and who's who and how to get dialed into that key circle of players. Understand just a little bit about the basics of emergency response so that should you be asked, you can kind of know what to expect. To share with your stakeholders, as well as some things that you might see come up within your own communities and ways to better deal with that, and just a few broad brush answers to some big picture questions that you might get from stakeholders. So we've got two guest speakers, Dave Pugh from the U.S. Coast Guard. He was kind enough to come here all the way from Portsmouth, Virginia, right? And he is the U.S. Coast Guard 5th District Lead for, you have to remind me the acronym for DRAT.
District Response Advisory Team.
Okay, so what he said. And then we've also got Frank Sulak with NOAA. He is your NOAA Scientific Support Coordinator, or SSC. And he could possibly be your new best friend if you have an oil spill in your area. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later.